just let me go. It's only right for all I know. It's only matter. It's calico. It's black and white, 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 white. Make me feel well. Oh, I can't break the spell. I just have to be true. Make me feel well. Oh, I can't break. Make me. It's black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. It's black and white. It's black and white.
I am doing brilliant, Jack. Great to be here with you and great to be in the booth for a Jacko Racing, I think, exclusive broadcast. Usually, if I've been on here, it's been with when we've been doing the BSR, but this is, I think, the first time where it's I'm in the commentary box for a series that you broadcast exclusively. So great to be here, and I'm really looking forward to seeing some F3s around Road America.
completely messed everything up. There we go. Hopefully everybody can hear me now. If you didn't hear my introduction, Ed did, but you know, you guys just heard it, so it's fine. I've got a new commentator. His name is Ed. He just spoke. There we go. We're going into it. There we go. He's back again. So we're going to be going into a little bit of qualifying action in a couple of seconds, as we see a big off already on the right-hand side of the screen. So I'm going to shoot you to the iRacing thing just while I hope that everything is set up, because for some reason, as I said, my computer's decided that it doesn't want to do audio this evening. So fingers crossed we can sort it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully everyone can hear the pair of us now, and we can have a little bit of a look through qualifying. Obviously, qualifying has just got underway. And the drivers, well, the 22 are on track. Track space is a little bit of a premium, but look at them. They're all using the slipstream to their advantage. Going to have a bit of fun with one another, because that's the key of this series, of this little evening's entertainment, is it? It's not necessarily about any championships or anything like that. It's just about having some good fun.
It is indeed, yeah. It's certainly something that these guys set up to make sure that we can, you know, enjoy a Wednesday evening full of fun. Apparently they do have a Friday evening that is behind closed doors as well, where they test some things out and they try little bits and bobs here, there and everywhere. But it has to be said as well that the liveries that are just loading into your screen look absolutely fantastic as per usual. They do have some sort of very F1 inspired themes. Now we've got into the Dallara F3 machine, and apparently these drivers have been putting in the practice, so we're hopeful, fingers crossed, as we're seeing Christian Wafer facing the wrong way round in what is a very close representation of the AlphaTauri from this year, because a lot of them are kept up to date as well. I think on their trading paints liveries, they're very current, I believe. If we shoot over to, where is he? Is he out on track? Chris Knox. There we go. You'll recognise that livery, Ed, the Ferrari of 2021.
Yeah, not too fond of the green though. It does stick out, doesn't it, like a sore thumb, and I mean, I guess they need to have it there to get some eyes on the sponsors, but for me, the bright green and the red, you only really see those cars together at Christmas. I don't think Ferrari's seasons as of recently have been any cause for festivities or celebrations. Maybe they're just trying to get some form of spirit back in the team. I don't think it's the right way to go about it.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think it's personally because no one's actually looking at them anymore. I mean, if you're running all the way down in 16th place in qualifying or something ridiculous, can't get out of Q2, then why would anybody look at you? All of a sudden, a flash of green goes past and go, oh yeah, the Ferrari's on the circuit. Forgot they were here, which is something that you don't normally say for F1, is it? Normally they're right at the front.
Absolutely, and then they've obviously got the mission winner or win now, whatever it is, on the back. But because it's in black on the rear wing, it looks like the car's all dirty at the back. It doesn't look nice and clean that you'd expect a Ferrari to be. So maybe that could be something we'll see a change throughout. Because look at that, you can see it there. You can barely make out the text, can't you?
It is a bit odd, but I mean, we're not knocking you, Chris. I mean, you obviously like the livery, but we're just saying, well, I'll tell you what, the livery he had before, you'd have really enjoyed. He had that Scuderia sort of Ferrari 2004, almost Michael Schumacher livery in the first week, especially on his GT3 Ferrari as well. And that looked mega. So maybe switch back to that, Chris, and you'll get the approval of the commentators.
Yeah, but we might, like, or if you want to use another Ferrari livery, what was it? I think the 2017 Ferrari livery, that was a really nice one as well.
That was a looker.
That was a real looker, sir. Maybe we're just going to keep Chris. We know Chris. He likes to chop and change his paints around a little bit. We might be seeing different ones throughout the rest of the season. This, however, the nice retro Williams livery. Look at that, John Westbrook there. It's a nice looking livery, and actually, we've seen is that his brother or? Who is that? Alex Westbrook, who's just put it on pole.
Yeah, Alex Westbrook. Well, John Westbrook.
And John then goes, just one's better.
Yeah, exactly. They're quite often fighting, but I tell you what, Alex Westbrook's throwback Tom and Jerry, always looking dapper, I have to say as well. It's looking really nice. Anthony Mott is, I mean, a lot of these drivers, you can tell, Ed, they're social racers and they put in some random ones. They're not necessarily attached to many teams, or don't have any sponsors that are necessarily their own. One driver who's decided against that, though, is the Excite driver of Anthony Mott. Now, I think you'll be familiar with the Excite eSport team. We cover quite a few series where they keep popping up, whether it's in a Porsche or an MX-5 or even an F3 here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've seen him a couple of times as well in GT machinery, but I don't think I've seen Anthony Mott around before. Maybe he's exclusively just here for these fun evenings, maybe like the F3. A lot doesn't take part in these organised league events, but anyway, good to see him out and about. Currently P3 in the qualifying session. It only has, well, just under 3 minutes remaining. The margins very close, aren't they, at the top of the field?
Stunningly close between the two Westbrooks, has to be said, and Anthony Mott is only less than a tenth of a second. K-Teams, thank you very much for the like, thank you very much for the share. Hopefully everybody can hear everything okie dokie, and including the cars. Do let me know in the chat, because as I said earlier, the audio decided to do one over on itself, basically. Barry Rabbitt's another driver that we quite often say right at the front of the field. He's in the Tic Tac car now. I don't know much about F1 pre-2005, really, I'll be honest. It wasn't something I often watched when I was a kid. Only the history. Am I right in thinking this is a little bit Jordan?
I believe so. I believe it was the Jordan. Oh, I've got to try and refresh my memory now. It was the...
Put you on the spot here, aren't I? Because I couldn't.
Yeah, you put me on the
it.
spot. I think it's the 1991 Jordan livery, I believe, and well, I think it's undoubtedly, isn't it, one of the standout cars of that era of Formula One, one of the nicest looking Formula One cars that have ever been put together, both just from the shape of it, but also the livery. And I'll tell you what, it does work very nicely, those sort of that era of Formula One with a Formula 3 car.
It does, yeah. I mean, the Formula 3 is drastically smaller, isn't it, than the current F1 cars. I don't know if you've ever seen a post about, I think it was Niki Lauda's car compared to Lewis Hamilton's at Monaco or something, and the difference. No, actually, it wasn't even that. It was just Lewis Hamilton's first championship-winning car compared to his second or his latest championship-winning car. And there's night and day. The new Formula 1 cars are almost twice the size, whereas these obviously fit a little bit more into a mid-2000s sort of F1, which is why I think it attracted this series to go to F3s, because they were in the GT3 Ferraris and they decided, you know what, we want something different, and they went for literally the most different car they could possibly have, to be honest, which is, well, yeah, it keeps it interesting, that's for sure. A couple of drivers still out there at the moment. We've got 9 minutes gone on the clock already, a minute and 45 seconds ago, to be honest. All of the top 12 are already in the pits, but there is a host of drivers that currently haven't even set a lap time. Paul Wafer, Albert Veyer, Paul Black, all haven't set a lap time and are still in the pits. Havana's Gevorgian is out at the moment, but doesn't look like going particularly quickly. However, it's lighting up green sectors all over the place. Ed, it's pretty easy to do if you haven't set a lap time.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to see, though, where he is going to put himself when he eventually makes his way across the line. The clock will, of course, tick over past 10 minutes. This is his final chance. Oh, if he makes a mistake like that, takes an off track, he's not going to be able to set a lap time whatsoever. So the very nice looking purple and black machine is not going to set a lap time. And actually, he's not going to even have a chance to, because we're going to be going into the race.
Yeah, there's no messing about here. Don't you worry. We don't even have time between race 1 and 2 to even bring up the results, actually. We go straight into it here at Pure GT. Ed, no messing about. So Chris Knox on pole position. In the end, actually, pipped Alec Westbrook by a tenth and a half. We missed that. Anthony Mott was in 3rd place with Barry Rabbitt in 4th. John Westbrook ended up all the way down in 5th. Kevin McGlone in 6th. Richard Aber in 7th. To Martin Thomas in 8th. Clive Bailey 9th. And rounding out the top 10 was Max Hunt. Christian Wafer 11th. And 12th was Mark Hoskin. And I always forget that I'm the one doing this. 13th is Mike Moss. Alex Martin ended up 14th with Mike Tucker 15th. Andy Montgomery in 16th. Adam Hayes 17th, Peter Jennings 18th, Havana Gevorgian was in 19th, Wafer in 20th, Paul Black 21st, Albert Veyer 22nd, and Mark White rounds out the field. So, you've now seen, Ed, just how tight it is at the front of the Pure GT race series, and remember, there is no damage here tonight. So, even if there is a little bit of a scrap, we're still in for a really good race, and we have reverse grids as well, Ed. It's not quite the BSR. We don't have a spinning wheel or anything too complicated like that. We just have top 6 for race number 2 and then top 12 for race number 3.
So that's going to be really exciting to see how that's going to shake up. But soon the safety car is going to get out of the way. Look at what Chris Knox is doing. I think you can see him there. Look at his rear wheels. They're spinning away, aren't they? He's really getting some heat into him. I'm not sure if that's going to work out for him at the start of the race, but we'll soon find out, won't we? Look at Chris Knox. He's trying to get as much heat as he can into the tyres. Our pole sitter doing all he can. Maybe a bit of mental game, trying to psych out some of the competition, seeing him spinning his wheels. Pace car comes in, though, and they're going to get underway very shortly.
They are indeed. Yeah, there's already crashes in the background, because that's just how the Pure GT rolls, sometimes literally But Chris Knox gets a good getaway. He gets his foot flat to the floor early days. And Alec Westbrook and Anthony Mott are actually rowing side by side, going towards turn 1. And Chris Knox is already deciding that he's going to warm his tyres up as Barry Rabbit flies to the inside of Alec Westbrook and Anthony Mott. Oh, we've had a crash.
Exit. Two have decided to exit stage left. I'm not sure what's going on. Several other cars are falling off the circuit there as well. Oh, and look, John Westbrook was involved in all of that. Oh my word, there's still cars spinning around. There's another Williams car. I think that was the 22 of Max Hunt involved. Yes, that is. So he's spun the car around at the top of the hill there.
He has indeed. Yeah, let's have a look and see how Barry Rabbit's getting on. Oh, he's airborne as well. And that was a touch with Anthony Mott. It looked like, I mean, we only just came across the incident. Looked like maybe he was coming back across the braking line, and there's just flying off left, right, and centre. I told you it gets a bit messy here in the F3s, and now you understand maybe why we don't have damage on.
Oh my word, yeah, if there was damage, I don't know if any cars be going. There's a car on its roof over there. Who is that? That might be Martin Thomas, I think, involved over there. Yes, it was. It was. Oh no, that wasn't Martin Thomas. That was.
I'm not sure who it is because they're still crashing out, to be honest.
It might have been one of them. They're still crashing. Oh my word, it's all kicking off in the background, isn't it, Jack? There's another car going slowly there. I'm going to try and figure out what is going on further back. This is Mike Moss. He sends his way down the inside and then, maybe not too cleanly, gets a bit of contact, spins around. Does he get collected afterwards? No, it wasn't, and that was the number 2 car, I think, that was flying around. That might have been Clive Baylor, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there was people flying around everywhere there. Normally, sometimes we spend the first 6 minutes actually just clearing up what on earth happened on the first lap, and that may well be the case. I think we've had, Chris Knox, where you going? That's not going to do your suspension any good. It's really going to hamper him up the hill.
Yeah, he's going to get taken here. See down the inside. Anthony Mott is going to take that opportunity with no questions asked. Chris Knox is trying to get the slipstream back into the first corner, but I don't think it will be enough. So now up into the lead of the race. Anthony Mott, he was somehow able to keep himself out of all of the trouble that was going on around him, behind him, and in front of him, and everywhere around him, and carried off into the lead of the race. But look at this. Oh my word, there's great cars there, and that's actually the number 3 in the Brawn GP livery. Oh, I love that one. That's a nice paint job as well. No sponsors, as I think was the theme for most of Brawn GP's season. Look at it though.
Oh no, it's not what we want to see. But as we're complimenting it, straight into the grass. But I think there's one other driver who sports the Brawn livery as well. So we'll try and keep an eye out on that one. Paul Wafer's gained 13 positions, and the driver just behind him as well, Paul Black, has actually gained 13 positions as well. So the highest gaining positions so far of any of these drivers. Mark White has gained 10. John Westbrook's already back up to the top 12. As well, has to be said. So good recovery drive by him, but there he goes, spinning off. It's Peter Jennings. I thought that was Westbrook. Is he going to come and try and spin back on? Oh, careful, you don't want to try and get in the way.
Oh, well, this is carnage, isn't it? But I hope everyone in the race is at least enjoying themselves. This is what's happening, though, with
This is on the
Mark
opening lap.
White.
This is everybody crashing.
This was even before it all got underway. So there was 2 cars. I think that might have been the number 3 and the number 4 getting all tangled up. That was Michael Tucker and Andy Montgomery. Not sure which one was to blame in all of that. But they managed to keep going. And then again, there's more. There's basically just a car park in the sand, isn't it, at the exit of turn 1 on the opening lap. Oh, and then through comes the Brawn car. Gives a massive hit, doesn't he, to Max Hunt, who just about thought he was safe. And then all of a sudden, he wasn't.
Yeah, Alex Martin as well. This is all on the opening lap, by the way. There's a turnaround of the AlphaTauri and then in the roof. And that was the driver that you saw on here on their roof is Alex Martin. Then parked on the apex looking at the drivers coming at them. I mean, that is the worst possible situation for Alex Martin, then.
Yeah, thankfully, though, as you mentioned, there isn't any damage in these cars. You're going to sound like a broken record all night. But there's been so many incidents and accidents. Oh, that was close with him. And the Red Bull liveried machine that was spinning around. Peter Jennings seemingly invisible for a moment there. And look, oh my word, the Jaguar Silk Cut livery, Andy Montgomery has a spin out of the exit of the final corner. And Chris Knox, he was in the lead of the race, is all the way suddenly down in 6th.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out what on earth happened to Chris Knox, to be honest, because he just seems to have fallen backwards, and I think he's gone off track. I'm just trying to find out when He was off track for a long time, and here is potentially the reason why. And yeah, big touch, maybe looked like a touch of a net code incident potentially there. We'll try and maybe slow it down. Just have a look at the sort of the contact here, Ed, and see what you think. Net code or actual contact? Well, it's hard to see there.
Yeah, it's hard to see. It's the smallest of angles that we get to see, but they might have been a little bit of a wheel-to-wheel contact, but it's such a small margin, isn't it, when you're there? In fact, we're actually going to see here from Chris Knox, or maybe not from that angle. Maybe if we get that angle and reverse it back around, we'll see. Here we go, Chris Knox. Do the wheels contact, or is there a bit of net code? Oh, there is net code there, but the cars, they're ever so close, aren't they?
I don't think, unfortunately, it would have made much of a difference. Realistically, would it, if there was netcode or not? I think it would have ended up with a crash, as Chris Knox is fighting off now Martin Thomas. Now this is the pole sitter in the Ferrari falling backwards, and now got a neon green Dallara for company. And well, I'll tell you what, Road America has certainly given them something to think about this evening here, Ed. And it's a track you're a little bit more familiar than I am, as Chris Knox again, the last corner. Chris can't seem to get it right.
Yeah, absolutely. But Chris Knox, he's been able to charge back up through the field. We just saw him, or the tail end of his overtake on Martin Thomas. But Martin Thomas, with the slipstream down this long start-finish straight, he's going to fight back, and he's going to try and get as high up the order as he can, try and fight with our pole sitter, wheel to wheel through the first quarter, giving each other plenty of space, not wanting to risk any contact with one another. And now Chris Knox again slots himself back up in front in 5th position. Meanwhile, as slipstreaming going on further back, and this is Alexander Martin, the driver we saw basically on his roof, or on as much of a roof you can get in these Formula 3 cars, now climbing his way back up the order and isn't too far away from his qualifying position, currently in 15th place, but qualified 14th.
Yeah, and that was a bit of a gift there by Paul Wafer, I think, wasn't it? He didn't really fight that one into turn 1 too hard, so good showing by him. Martin Thomas has gotten past Chris Knox. Yeah, again, and as we cut away from him to have a look at another fight, Chris Knox, again, I think maybe has another off. I'm not entirely sure. Let's have a look. In fact, we can see the overtake here. It's just, actually, it's a clean overtake, isn't it? Martin Thomas up the inside. Really good move, actually. Probably one of the cleanest we've seen so far in the race. And although Chris Knox looked like he was getting a good exit, he actually came on the power touch early and ran wide. So Martin Thomas back ahead. But as I'm saying that, Chris Knox has then passed... We can't keep up, to be honest. Every time we go to a replay, something else changes in the live feed. But Chris Knox then slides back up the inside. They're certainly using every opportunity to overtake round here, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah. But it's great to see all the drivers go for it. Look, Martin Thomas, he's going to chuck it back down the inside. I think that was going through Canada corner. So Martin Thomas, he's not hanging about. He doesn't mind too much about the fact that Chris Knox put it on pole position, does he? He's really fighting with him. Hopefully we're going to see that continue all the way till the end of the race. Meanwhile, though, Anthony Mott, he sets the fastest lap of the race so far, as we see now Chris Knox look down to the inside into turn 1.
Yeah, we'll just have to keep with this. We're just over halfway into this race. We'll give you a rundown of the top 5, because to be honest, we haven't mentioned any of them apart from Anthony Mott this evening. Well, this race anyway, as Chris gets the job done and dusted without having to compromise himself on the braking zone. But every single time he just seems to have a touch of understeer, whether he's getting a little bit keen on the power, maybe adding 10% power where he doesn't need to, or whether he's just sending too much speed in. I'm not entirely sure, but these, I don't know if you've driven the F3s before, Ed. I know you're a bit more of a GT racer yourself, but the F3s, they do have a tendency of understeering compared to oversteering, which makes them a little bit more difficult to drive than most would think. When you just look at them, you think, oh, it's F1 stuck to the floor. Aerodynamics, as you can quite clearly see, Chris Knox doesn't have that going his way at the moment, and the understeer coming back to bite him again.
Yeah, absolutely. The big thing in these F3s, though, that I found when I drove it, at least this was early on in its life cycle when it was recently released, when it was first released to iRacing, was the fact that the brakes are the main thing. If you can master the brakes in these F3 cars, then you can be really quick and consistent with them. But it's so difficult, isn't it? If you just try and take a little bit too much speed into the corner, you try a bit too hard on the brakes, you will lock up and you will essentially just go straight on at the corners. So you're going to be seeing if any of the drivers can manage that. Be the last of the late breakers. That's what Chris Knox is going to try and do, isn't he? Going now into Canada corner. He's going to try and hang it around the outside, but down the inside, Martin Thomas is able to hold on take plenty of speed on exit. Chris Knox fights all the way back, looks right, looks left, looks right in the end, but is covered off from Martin Thomas and then has to slot in behind once more. And that just shows how strong the slipstream is, because you'd expect maybe Chris Knox being pole sitter to be the quicker of the two drivers in this situation, but the slipstream isn't allowing him to pull away and actually allows Martin Thomas to close back up and fight nice and close with him, as we've just seen a fast lap set by, who is that? That's Barry Rabbit, who's I think approaching this fight very quickly, and he might make it a three-way fight for fifth.
Well, I mean, these drivers, I mean, again, Chris Knox is struggling to keep it on the tarmac on exit of these corners, but they're all on fixed setup as well. Not maybe something I didn't share with you before, Ed, but they are all on fixed setup, so everything you see here is pretty much completely down to the driver. But as these drivers were fighting, Martin Thomas and Chris Knox, they were setting 2-minute 9s almost, like 2-minute point 9s or something. Barry Rabbit flew in and did a purple lap as Martin Thomas up the inside now, and Barry, that meant he was nearly 4 seconds quicker than the two in front of him. So it's no wonder he's caught up so much. And to be honest, I know he's going to get slowed up now, back to the fact that obviously these guys are fighting, but Chris Knox now has to think defensively as well as offensively. And I don't know what your plan would be here. It's almost impossible. If you're the car in the middle, it's the hardest situation to be in the race.
I mean, we know what Chris Knox is like, isn't he? He's not going to worry too much about the car behind. He's going to try and send it at any chance he gets. And he's even going to try and overtake on the grass. But that was not an opportunity that was going to present itself nice and cleanly for him, was he? So he ends up having to back out of that manoeuvre for the time being, and then has to reassess where he can try and overtake. They've just gone through the kink now and making their way once more through Canada Corner. Good opportunistic move there. Look at that. He carves his way down the inside, locks up on the brakes, a bit of a nudge on exit. Chris Knox, he's spun all the way around. Yeah, Barry Rabbit's hoping to take advantage here, isn't he? As Martin Thomas is now slowed up, but it's a twisty, windy portion of the track where you don't want to be going too wide if you can avoid it. But that's a shame, actually, because we're on the white flag lap now, and they had that battle ended. But again, Martin Thomas with that push from the lack of aero, thanks to the fact that Martin Thomas is obviously punching a massive hole in the air, that the car behind just can't follow out of the final corner. So it looks like we're going to still have a battle, but it's not going to involve Chris Knox, and we'll see if we can catch what was cracking with him here. See, he looks to the inside very late, but he gets the move stuck. It's just, I think he locks up, doesn't he? Yes, and that gives him an extra, he sort of slows him down much more than I think Martin Thomas was expecting. And that meant that, well, there was only one way that incident was going to go, and that was going to be seeing Chris Knox getting punted up the rear and spun off into the wall. But meanwhile, we haven't focused on him all race long, have we, basically? But Anthony Mott, he's got the fastest lap of the race, and he's looking very good for the win. Meanwhile, in the background, too wide, and Martin Thomas is sent off all the way around at turn 5. Is he going to lose out to Chris Knox? Yes, he does, and he also loses out to Alec Westbrook. Do he finally rejoin in front of the cars behind? Yes, I think he does. Yeah, but as you said before, sorry, Ed, we've got to have a look at Anthony Mott, because although maybe there was some questionable contact right at the beginning of the race that we just caught the tail end of, couldn't find it on the replays, unfortunately, he has led the race for, I'd say, I think 3/4 of it so far, and he's about to take the checkered flag. Kevin McGlone in second place has gained 4 positions, had a quiet race. He's 4 seconds back from Anthony, but 12 seconds back is Christian Wafer, who's in third and gained 8 positions to take that third place. So for the final time, coming out of the final corner, up the hill, he's weaving left and right, celebrating the fact that he's taken the checkered flag. Anthony Mott, he's had torrid luck in the last 2 rounds, but tonight he takes his victory. Yeah, great drive, wasn't it, from Anthony Mott there. Kevin McGlone going home in second position, and Christian Wafer comes home in third position. Another driver that we haven't really focused on all race long. Christian, he had a very anonymous race, but I think that's what he needed to have, considering all of the incidents that went on ahead of him, and he was able to put his car in the right position to capitalise. This is potentially a drag race to the line, though. Does Mark White get a good run out of the final corner? He seems to do. He's closing in, isn't he, on Michael Tucker as they make their way up to the line. Is he going to dart to the inside? Yes, he is, but is it enough for him to take? No, it's not enough for him to take 8th position. It's so close, but just not enough time. Yeah, there's a fight still going all up and down
the order, to be honest, but it looks like everybody's about to be finishing up now. And I tell you what, 4 drivers retired out of that, and the fact that we don't have any damage means that it's quite surprising, to be honest. 23rd, oh, big crash, massive crash. Oh, well, we'll shoot away from that rather quickly, shall we? As drivers are currently, well, on their head. And I think that was Alec Westbrook deciding that he wanted to finish on his roof. But yeah, we had 4 drivers that decided not to finish. So as we're heading into the next heat, we actually, yeah, we can't actually bring that up very quickly unless you really want to try and run down that order now. Now, Ed.
We've got Anthony Mott in first position ahead of Kevin McGlone, Christian Wafer in third, rounding out the podium with Barry Rabbit in fourth and Chris Knox in fifth. Sixth down sees Alex Westbrook, Martin Thomas, Michael Tucker, Mark White, and Mike Moss. Get your words out, Ed. Mike Moss completing the top 10. And the 11th down sees John Westbrook, Alexander Martin, Paul Black, Max Hunt, Hovanas Gevorgian, Adam Hayes, Anthony Montgomery, and Mark Hoskin there in 18th position. A couple more drivers to run through. Paul Wafer, Richard Abra, Clive Bailey, Peter Jennings, and Albert Vella rounding out the field. I think we've run through that in just enough time to get the starting order now for the second race of the evening, Jack.
Yeah, Alec Westbrook on pole position. It's a shame, actually, just a note on Richard Abra. I saw him running in third for a long time in that race. Gutted that we didn't see him finish there. Alec Westbrook then on pole position. Chris Knox in second place. Barry Rabbit is in third. Christian Wafer fourth. Kevin McGlone in fifth. And Anthony Mott in sixth. And there's already drivers up on their rear end. On their front anyway. Martin Thomas, 7th place. Michael Tucker, 8th. Mark White, 9th, with Mike Moss in 10th. John Westbrook and Alex Martin, 11th and 12th. And to be honest, you can read the rest here because we're about to get underway, Ed. And it is Alec Westbrook. Remember, it's a top 6 reverse grid as the pace car comes in now. And we're about to get underway. So it's Alec Westbrook, Chris Knox. There's already an incident. And again, cars on their roof. In the background, we'll focus on the front though, because Chris Knox has got a good start, but not as good a start as Barry Rabbit. Alec Westbrook's been completely caught out here. There's an Alpha Tauri going around the outside as well, and it looks like it's going to be a nice close 4-way battle going into the first corner. Hopefully everything keeps it clean.
I'm amazed that Alec Westbrook wasn't able to get the jump on the field. So you hear all massive crunches in my ears there. I hope everyone wasn't deaf, and I hope the audio wasn't too loud because, oh my word, there was a lot of cars going off at turn 1. But like I mentioned, I was surprised that Alec Westbrook, he was able to set the pace. He was on pole position. Just didn't seem to get a chance to get the best getaway possible. And instead has fallen all the way down the order back into third position, possibly fourth if the Alpha Tauri livery of Christian Wafer has a little bit of a look. But no, he sends it down the inside on Chris Knox. Playing a bit of a cat and mouse game, isn't he? The Tom and Jerry liveried machine, trying to see if he can Oh, look at that. He's outplayed Chris Knox there down the inside. No, look at that. Christian Wafer spins around, I think, all by himself, unfortunately, and he's going to have to hope to rejoin without any contact.
He is, yeah. I can't believe I've watched the Tom and Jerry F3 car for 3 rounds now and never thought of the cat and mouse joke. That's a good spot there, to be fair. But Barry Rabbit is in the lead of this race. And I tell you what, he's opened up a nice, healthy gap. And I said hopefully we'll get all 4 of those, the top 4, having a nice little battle through turn 1. We did get that, but pretty much everybody else failed to get through turn 1 cleanly. And we're going to have a quick look and see if we can see what on earth happened. And I have to say, my highlights relay, normally it's a nice light blue.
By my side.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, take it away.
Look at that. Chris Knox is going to try and send it down the inside once more into counter corner. No lockups this time for Chris Knox. And he slots himself, doesn't he, up into second place and can now focus on trying to catch up to Barry Rabbit up in front, who I think he was trying to hope that he was able to bound and leap away further in front. And that might be enough because look at that. Alec Westbrook. He's lost control. He's spun into the wall. He's managed to keep it pointing somehow in the right direction after spinning several times around. And oh my word, there's several more spinners in the background. Plumes of smoke being kicked up in the background. There was Mark Hoskin involved, and I think that was also the 111 car of Paul Black we saw having a big hefty spin as well. I'm not sure exactly what kicked off all of that, but I mean, I'm going to focus, I think, back to some of the fights and then also try and recap what happened on the opening lap because there's been so much action that's been happening in such a short space of time.
Yeah, I mean, this is what happened. That was Kevin McGlone. Now, he was in 5th place, and that sparked off a whole host of other chain reactions, I believe, and we're just going to keep on board with Kevin here because I think there was plenty more spinnings off, shall we say, crashes around him. Having said that, actually, he seems to be going a little bit
I think
cleaner.
there was a lot into turn 5.
Well, we'll have a look. Andy Montgomery here has registered a crash, so maybe that was coming out of turn 5. No, going into turn 6 potentially. Oh, there's a switcheroo at the rear end there, wasn't there? And maybe that was just all on his own. A lot like the AlphaTauri car, who I've just forgotten the name of, unfortunately.
I think it was the number...
Christian Wafer.
Oh, no, it wasn't the number 3. It was Christian Wafer. Yes, that was it. That was a bit of a weird one we saw with Christian Wafer. It might just taken a bit too much. He maybe dipped a wheel onto the curb and swapped ends. As Peter Jones, I think, swapped ends, but I think he might have had a little bit of a help from that, maybe from Adam Hayes.
Potentially, yeah. Let's have a look at it as Peter Jennings is coming down. A nice, good camera angle over here, completely on their own, so I don't think there was any assistance. I think just misses the apex, and yeah, there we go. The rear end switches round, and that was Adam Hayes making contact and almost spinning in sympathy, going too hard in. That's the problem. When you go into a corner, and every driver coach in the world will say you've got to look through the corner. So if you're going into the braking zone, you actually should be looking at the apex, and if you're at the apex, you should be looking at the exit instead of going looking exactly where you are. As Peter Jennings is now under attack of Adam Hayes. Now, a little bit of a touch maybe. Sorry, he's attacking Adam Hayes. So a bit more of afters from potentially that earlier incident. Also, Chris Knox is caught back up to the back end of Barry Rabbit, thanks to the fact that he's stuck in a purple lap time last time around. So we'll keep an eye on that as Alex Martin goes up the inside and Peter Jennings spins and Adam Hayes goes wide. So Alex Martin's going to take a fair few places, all in the space of about 30 yards.
Yeah, Alexander Martin, he's been involved in a few incidents early on, wasn't he? But he's now not too many cars directly around him. He can just focus on trying to get himself up into, I believe, 12th place, which is that all-important reverse grid pole position for the third and final race of the evening. Meanwhile, we're following, I believe, Mark Hoskin here, who's got Michael Tucker and Clive Bailey for company. I haven't actually seen too much of Clive Bailey, but he is, I do like that sort of the 2021 Red Bull livery with the sort of big Honda in the background, changing from last season, as they had Aston Martin blazing over the rear wing, and it does look like a very nice bit of kit.
It does indeed, yeah. I've actually lost track of the whole Red Bull engine manufacturing fiasco, to be honest. I think they're back to Honda maybe for one more year, and then they have to find someone else, and they're doing it themselves. But as Havana's Gevorgian goes off, we'll cut back to talking about the race. And this is what I mean, Ed, I told you this before. I mean, we did a lot of preparation. I've sent out driver information forms and everything. People have filled them out. That's fantastic. But when we actually get into the actual race, we don't have any time to look at anything else other than what's going on ahead of them, because there is constantly a replay. There's constantly someone who's flying up the inside of someone else. I mean, if we look here, Michael Tucker and Mark Hoskin are going battling away as well. The number 666 car, the number 3 car, in the nice Brawn livery. It's, as you said before, looks fantastic. Well, easily one of my favourite looking cars of the past 21 years in F1. So much so, I didn't play golf, but I saw a golf bag that was in Brawn colours, and it was fantastic. It was about 1,500 quid. I begged my dad to buy it, and obviously he didn't, because I don't play golf, and I was about 7 years old, but it looks so cool. As Michael Tucker spins back round, and as we say, yet again, complimenting his lovely livery, he ends up ruining it into a wall.
I think we just need to just turn the cameras away from Michael Tucker just for a bit. Maybe we'll see him at the end of the race suddenly in 12th position because we haven't looked at him. I think as soon as we start looking at him, Mike Tucker gets a bit of pressure from all the cameras pointing at him and thinks, oh, and then panics and spins around. That's probably what it is. Meanwhile, we can focus now onto the fight for 4th place. And I think that is Mike Moss closing in, slowly but surely. Is that Mike Moss actually closing in? That might be.
Yeah, I think
yes, it is Mike Moss. Sorry, yeah, that is Mike Moss closing in, isn't he? Under the brakes. He's got good confidence in getting the car stopped. And oh, that's a big crash there. Mark White and Richard Abra involved in that one at turn 5. And meanwhile, throughout all of this, Chris Knox is up into the lead of the race. And Barry Rabbit, what on earth has happened to our race leader? He's going to be absolutely hopping mad, isn't Barry Rabbit, after seemingly throwing away a race victory?
Yeah, we'll try and catch up with a few of those things, but I think, he just drops a wheel, doesn't he? A little bit too much power as he drops a wheel onto the outside of the circuit. It's pushing too hard. Chris Knox is really there trying to breathe down his neck, but that is really good for him. As maybe we'll just have a quick look back at the Mark White and Richard Aber incident as well. Talk us through it.
Okay, so we're going to see this is Mark White. He's looking down the inside of Richard Abra, who covers it off, and then into the braking zone. Richard Abra might break a bit too early, and Mark White breaks a little bit too late. Either one of those, or probably both of those, contribute to that little incident we saw at turn 5. And meanwhile now, we've got a massive train of Formula 3 machines all fighting their way. This is from 3rd place all the way down to, I think, 7th.
Yeah, well, it was. Anthony Moss goes in for a spin with Kevin McGlone. And Kevin, I know he's got some fans in the chat. Yeah, won't be very happy with that one, the Michelin-looking car. And Anthony Moss, our race 1 winner, having a little bit of a coming together. But that's the problem, isn't it? When you I was surprised when they said they were going to open wheel, because that sort of thing can happen out of nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we just saw, as you mentioned, Kevin McGlone. He got a bit too friendly with the rear end of Anthony Mott, I believe, and well, they mattered one another. And I think maybe in about 9 months' time, I might see a little Skip Barber pop out.
That's very true, actually. Yeah, it's I think I was on a BSR thing with you once. It said it looked like my dog with one of its soft toys, unfortunately. But it's Max Hunt.
Yeah, I was trying to be a bit more nicer the way of putting it than the way you did there.
It's fine. This is Jacko Racing at the end of that. Mike Moss and Barry Rabbit and Max Hunt, though, they're having a proper little doozy here. Barry Rabbit, although he's lost the race lead, still trying to fight back up for that race position, that podium position. And with Max Hunt and Mike Moss, he's got himself a real good battle going here.
Yeah, he really does, doesn't he? Barry Rabbit now can see a podium seemingly on the cards after his chances for a race victory looked all but in tatters, didn't they, following his little spin, I think, coming out through turn 8. Look at this, though, Barry Rabbit. He's going to look now to the inside. Very late cover-off there from Mike Moss, who snags the brakes and spins around.
Yeah, Max Hunt span as well. And, they just come in. Malik Westbrook just got back in time. And a lot of these drivers trying to do 3-point turns, struggling with the steering rack. Unfortunately, these F3s, they're not the best. They're not the best at 3-point turns. But let's have another look at this one. So as we're on board with having a look at Mike Moss, Barry Rabbit's going to fly up the inside. That's all hunky dory. But there we go. He just came back under the braking zone, didn't he? And then he ends up tapping Max Hunt. So that's how he went round. But Mike Moss, I mean, he was trying to cover that inside, and then last minute he tried to decide to go back to the optimal racing line, didn't he? And the weight transfer in the car just wasn't having it.
Yeah, it also looked like there might have been a bit of rear locking potentially going on, because the way the car snapped, it was so violent, wasn't it, under the braking zone? It was like as soon as he decided he was going to turn in for the corner after he got the car straightened up, it just went on him. And we're going to see here, this is, I think, for the race lead, Martin Thomas taking the car up into first position, and now Chris Knox and Martin Thomas are once again going to be fighting for the race victory.
Can't get rid of each other, can they, in this evening around Road America? Chris Knox and Martin Thomas. And to be honest, I was having a look at why maybe Martin Thomas was able to catch him up so much anyway, because Chris Knox had an absolutely massive lead at one point, thanks to the fact that Barry Rabbit obviously span it off. I can't see anything, to be honest. I think to understand why.
I think Chris Knox, he might have just slowed down purposefully. He wants to have a bit of a fight of things. He doesn't want to take the race victory by 6 seconds. He'd rather take it by maybe 600ths.
Well, I mean, that would be very Chris Knox thing to do, wouldn't it? I think we've seen him leading a BSR MX-5 race at Alton Park. I think it was Chris Knox, and then he ended up 360ing it, and then ended up still winning the race. Was that Chris?
I think he was, yeah. It was Alton Park, and he decided just to do some donuts across the start-finish line, even well before the race had actually finished, then carried on going and took the race victory. So, I mean, we know what Chris Knox is like, isn't he? Stunt driver in real life. He's likes to take that to the sim and give us plenty of entertaining action to follow and to talk about. I think they're going to be starting maybe the white flag lap very soon. We're going to see if Chris Knox is able to hold on for one more timer, because I believe, let me just see, yep, the white flag is being waved.
Yeah, indeed. And actually, I mean, I know you weren't here last time out. I think it was Suzuka. And to be honest, we had some of the best racing I've seen on iRacing. And Chris Knox actually came in the interview waiting room, actually, after all 3 races were done and dusted, and said that his 3rd race was probably the most enjoyable race he's ever had in iRacing. And it was with, I believe, Barry Rabbit, who is in 3rd place at the moment. And those two, honest to God, if no one's seen it, then watch the rest of this stream, obviously, but then go back and have a look at the 3rd race out of the Pure GT series. It was absolutely stunning, and it's more of what you're seeing here, to be honest. Martin Thomas and Chris Knox are the drivers that are involved this time round, but good fighting for the race lead. And Kevin McGlone and Mike Moss, here we go. Oh, it's getting very close to each other. And I tell you what, that's a little bit close for comfort compared to a lot of what we've seen, but it's a lock-up there from Kevin McGlone running a little bit wide, and Mike Moss might have the impetus up the hill. No, not quite. I'm surprised that he didn't get the good run that he was hoping for. A little bit of an early turn-in meant that he scuppered the run through the corner as well, and Kevin McGlone gets away with that one. But Martin Thomas is certainly not getting away with anything on the white flag here. They're about halfway through the lap. What can Chris Knox muster?
Yeah, we're going to see what Chris Knox can pull out for this final few moments. He's going to be behind though, isn't he? He's going to have the slipstream coming out of the kink all the way down towards Canada Corner. Is he close enough to put on a real challenge? He's going to be close enough into the braking zone. He looks down to the inside line. Classic Chris Knox maneuver, very late down the inside. He's going to have the inside for Canada Corner, but his exit, is it uncompromised enough? Yes, it has, because look at that. Martin Thomas is going to try and hold it around the outside, not quite close enough, but look, Chris Knox, he dips a wheel out onto the grass, nearly loses complete control of the machine that he's driving, the Dallara F3. But then as they make their way up across the line, I think it's going to be Chris Knox taking the race victory.
Yeah, and you can't say he doesn't deserve it really, because he put it on pole position. Race 1, he ended a little bit of contact early with Martin Thomas, who comes across the line in second place in the end. And I tell you what, he spins, and then Barry Rabbit comes in third place as well. Alec Westbrook on that final lap of the race, by the way, took the fastest lap in fourth and spins into the wall for good measure as well. A brilliant battle all up and down the field. Havana's Gevorgian here, about 9/10 of a second back from Clive Bailey. And everybody was in a nice little space of their own, to be honest, by the end of that one. But yeah, I mean, you got to catch your breath, haven't it? It's half an hour, basically, of pure drama. These two sprint races going so close to each other. But Christian Wafer felt the bite of the bullet here, right at the end. And look at this, he's going so close and ends up getting a little bit of a touch and another little touch. And I think that's after the checkered flag, hopefully. No, it's not. That was going on to the penultimate lap. So Christian Wafer really not having the best time.
I guess I help around to go the right way.
Yeah, I was going to say, at least he does get turned around the right way in the end. But we'll be able to bring the results as soon as they're available to us.
Yeah, see, well, what drama that was at the end as well. We said Michael Tucker and the Braun GP liveried machine. He's been having such a poor time. Every time we look at him and compliment him, he has an incident. As soon as we stopped looking away from him, he climbed up the order, but finished just outside that all-important 12th position. We're going to see the results up on our screens now. Chris Knox took the race victory ahead of Martin Thomas with Barry Rabbit in third. Alec Westbrook, Anthony Mott, Kevin McGlone, Jordan Westbrook, Max Hunt, Clive Bailey, and Havana's Gevorgian taking out the top 10. Then we have Mike Moss, Richard Abra, who I think is on pole position for this final race, ahead of Michael Tucker, Paul Wafer, Alexander Martin, Adam Hayes, Christian Wafer, and Mark White in 18th position. Then 19th down to 23rd, I believe we will see Peter Jennings, Andy Montgomery, Paul Black, Mark Hoskin, and Albert Vella.
Yeah, good race in total. And actually, I tell you what, because we had to rush through it so quickly, Ed, we quite often as well do the first race finishing results as well, just in case anybody missed out on that one. So just to run you through that again, Anthony Mott was the person who took the race victory in the first race of the evening. Kevin McGlone was in second, with Christian Wafer in third. Barry Rabbit fourth. Chris Knox ended up in fifth in that one. Alec Westbrook was in sixth. Martin Thomas was in seventh. Michael Tucker in eighth. Mark White in ninth. Mike Moss in 10th. John Westbrook 11th. Alexander Martin 12th. Paul Black 13th. Max Hunt 14th. Havana's Gevorgian in 15th. Adam Hayes 16th. Andy Montgomery was 17th. 18th with Mark Hoskin. And then 19th, Paul Wafer, Richard Abbott 20th, Clive Bailey 21st, Peter Jennings 22nd, Albert Vella was in 23rd, 7 laps down at the end. So that is how we saw race 1 and race 2. Now, we've got a little bit of a break between the second race and the third one for everybody, for a chance for all the drivers to get up, grab a drink, go to the toilets, and also for us commentators here as well, which is quite nice as well. So Ed will be back in a couple of minutes for the next set of drama that we're bound to see tonight. Hello everyone and welcome back to what is a interesting evening here of Pure GT Social Races at Road America. My name is Jack Oliphant, you're tuning into Jacko Racing. Not entirely sure why the font has gone the way that it has, but either way we're going to roll with it. And alongside me is, as ever, maybe not the Pure GT Social Races, but hopefully he'll be back for more, Ed May. And Ed, what's your initiation into the Pure GT world been like? Oh, I love a bit of spice. We've always loved a bit of spice, you and me. It's always good fun, yeah. Hopefully we'll be able to. I'll just try to reload the session and reload the overlays. Sorry, and it's decided that it doesn't want to work. So we're hoping to be able to keep you, but I can tell you that Havana Gevorgian is on pole position. Clive Bailey in second, Max Hunt third, John Westbrook fourth, and fifth is Kevin McGlone. And as soon as I'm able to get the overlays back up, we'll let you know. But Ed, I'll probably let you talk us through Clive Bailey and Havana Gevorgian's race start. He has indeed, yeah, and I've messed this up as well because they couldn't even hear you, unfortunately. So not only are the overlays looking rather poor, all of a sudden the cars have gone all of a sudden just bright white, and everything seems to have gone wrong into this third race of the evening. Havana Gevorgian, although he's leading the way and very pleased about it, I'm sure. Anthony Mott in second this time round, Barry Rabbit in third, John Westbrook in fourth, and while I try and figure out what on earth is going on, we may have to reload the broadcasting software. We'll keep you on board with Anthony Mott, our race leader, who's just overtaken Havana Gevorgian.
Yeah, exactly. Anthony Mott now going into turn one unchallenged, isn't he, for the race lead into the first corner, up 5 positions though since the start of the race. And there's calamities in the background, several cars colliding with one another. I think Michael Tucker might have been involved in some of that. Kevin McGlone as well, very far down the order from his starting position. So plenty of drivers getting caught out early on in these open few corners.
There is indeed, yeah, and hopefully let me know if you can see any of what's going on here, because unfortunately I just don't know. I can't tell you why all of a sudden that we can't see it.
I can't see the overlay, but I can still see the cars out on track, and I can see when we're switching to them. So I think some of it's all right. Other things are going a little bit skew-whiff, but we can carry on regardless, I think, because that's not going to take away, is it, from the entertainment. We're going to try and read you through what's happening in the background. Chris Knox, he's going to try and slot on through. I think he did slot on through in the end on Alec Westbrook, who lost out several positions. In fact, he's losing out quite a lot because I think he's had an incident.
Yeah, I'm just trying to have a look at it, see if we can keep up to date. In fact, here it is, as long as I can actually click it. Yep, here we go.
Here we go. And this is it. He looks down the inside, and that's the 75 car of Martin Thomas, who just sort of collides into the rear end. Just the smallest of nudges is what upsets these very sensitive F3 cars, sends him around at Canada Corner. And now we're going to see where Alec Westbrook will be able to finish this race. We're only just gone through the first lap, so tell you what, it's been a very eventful first lap for some of these drivers. But up in front, Barry Rabbit, he's on a massive charge, isn't he? Up 6 positions, and following what was looking like a very good chance for a race victory in the second race of the evening that was taken away just from a small mistake coming through turn 8. He's going to try and catch back up to Anthony Mott and make a position. But look at that, they're going 3 wide, 2 wide. Going to be trying to make it 3 wide there into turn 5. And was there going to be contact? I was worried there as soon as I saw a puff of smoke. And they both spin in sympathy and collect. I think that's Adam Hayes, is it? Or is that Paul Black that was in the nice purple machine that was sort of in a spy? And oh my word, he's been spun around. Now that's Havana's Gevorgian.
It is, yeah. I was just about to say Adam Hayes and a co are actually having a nice little ding-dong a little bit further back. But Kevin McGlone here, look at that. It's still Alec Westbrook trying to get back on the circuit now, and I thought he was about to get in the way of a whole host of people We all luckily got away with that one, as we're focusing now on Clive Bailey and Kevin McGlone. Bailey in the new 2021 looking Red Bull machine. Not that hard to figure out. Jack says it on the side of the damn car. It's Kevin McGlone and Adam Hayes now, who had a little bit of an off actually just before and is now trying to catch up. Actually, it looks like he's getting dropped as Clive Bailey looks up the inside. Kevin McGlone looks up the inside of Clive Bailey. It's a bit difficult without the overlays. I do apologise. I'm not sure why on earth they've disappeared, but they have done for now, so we'll keep going with it. Clive now looking to get that cutback, and there we go. He's only gone and done it on Kevin McGlone, who went too hot. It's so easy to lock the rears and lock the fronts, to be honest, in this F3 car. It's no surprise we're seeing it all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. Clive Bailey, that was a very good move, wasn't it? Going through kind of corner, one of the areas of the track where we've seen so much action, but we've also seen action going into turn one. I think we'll see just a little bit more as well. This is Alexander Martin. No, this isn't. This is Alexander Martin just in the front of the shot. Paul Black, though, is going wheel to wheel with Mike Moss, and Mike Moss slots himself down the inside up into 8th position. So, fight's raging on. That was quite used to the slipstream, though, wasn't it? But these Mike Moss just to get ahead and trying to now stay in front as they make their way all the way down the long run into turn 5.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, apologies. No leaderboard on the overlays. It's just how it seems to have broken itself into race 3, and unfortunately, can't seem to do much about it. I'm trying frantically, but I can tell you that Anthony Mott is leading the way from Barry Rabbit in 2nd place. John Westbrook is in 3rd, but for how much longer, with Chris Knox crawling over the back of him in 4th place. Max Hunt is in 5th, Martin Thomas in 6th, Alex Martin in 7th place, 8th is Mike Moss, and Paul Black in 9th, with Kevin McGlone rounding out the top 10. We'll have a focus on this little battle here, though, and every single race tonight so far, Ed has had Chris Knox just featuring horrendously in it. By the looks of it, he's trying to go a cut in the track and overtaking around the outside, but there's contact.
Yeah, hang on. I think Chris Knox goes straight on, doesn't he, at Canada corner? Is he going to lose out any positions? I think he loses that one to Max Hunt. Is Martin Thomas going to go through? Yes, he is as well. So Chris Knox, from that little moment, has lost some positions there and has got a fight as well.
Oh, I think we're losing Ed, unfortunately. He seems to be clipping in and out. Sometimes this can happen.
All the way back through once more.
Yeah, Barry Rabbit in 2nd place and Anthony Mott in 1st zone. Barry's caught right back up to the back of the Excite car. Race 1 winner here this evening, and this is the battle for 1st place. Barry Rabbit, he's had fantastic pace in him all evening so far, but he hasn't quite had that look that he needs to try and get through to the front of the Pure GT races, but it looks like he's going to have a good old ding-dong with the Excite machine, and I think we'll probably have Ed back.
Yep, we do. We've got me back, thankfully, or maybe unthankfully, because you're going to have to listen to me talk about this fight. Look at that. Anthony Mott and Barry Rabbit going wheel to wheel. Barry Rabbit down the inside, up into the lead of the race. But look at that, around the outside. Anthony Mott, great driving from the pair of them. And he's going to try and send it once more around the outside. Wow, through turn 6 too wide. It's so difficult when you come over the hill, and it's almost you have to trust the car when you turn in because you can't see the apex until you're basically almost upon it there. Great driving from the pair of them to keep it nice and clean. I think for the first time we've actually seen cars go too wide through there without colliding with one another.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like Coppice at Donington Park, really. You sort of turn in and you just sort of know that the apex will be there, or more hope that the apex will be there in some scenarios. But if you get it right, it's absolutely wonderful. And if it's not on iRacing, but Knock Hill, which I think is on R Factor 2, and maybe there's a mod on AC and stuff like that. I've driven Knock Hill in real life a couple of times, and that is superb. And it has probably the most satisfying corner that is very similar to that, where you sort of turning over the chicane, the second apex of the chicane. And in real life, I drove it in the Ginetta G55 Super Cup cars. And they're quite powerful machines, and you sort of fly over it and you go airborne. And if you ever seen the BTCC or any other cars, they're completely airborne, 4 wheels off the track. Fantastic shot, you should definitely watch it. But by the looks of it, Martin Thomas and Chris Knox is about to spark up again, but Max Hunt is now actually involved with this time round.
Yeah, he is. There's going to be several cars in this little battle, aren't they? This is for 4th position. Let's see which way that is going to come out. Down the inside, you can see Martin Thomas now. He looks, but backs out in the end. slots back in behind, and Chris Knox, he is approaching very quickly, isn't he, to this little battle. We're going to see what he's able to manage, see if he's going to get a good run. Is he coming out of the second corner? I think he does. Look at that great sort of speed, the drive out of the corner, but the slipstream is favouring at the moment Martin Thomas now for a move, going down into turn 5. Is he going to go for it? He is hard on the brakes. He's going to carve his way through. I don't think that was fought too hard by Max Hunt, and instead they're going to try and work together and try and keep Chris Knox at bay. But a snag of the brakes there for the 22.
Yeah, and it looks like Max Hunt goes off, and that's the end of his battle for the top 4. All of a sudden, it's Anthony Mott, John Westbrook, Barry Rabbit, Martin Thomas in 4th place. Chris Knox rounds out the top 5 with Max Hunt in 6th position. It shows how big a gap there is between the top 5 and the rest of the field at the moment. But there isn't that much of a gap here, as the 3 drivers are Paul Black, Mike Tucker and Mark White, and it looks like Tucker's gone wide into the sidewall, and then all of a sudden I think Mark White's having a bit of a spinneroo as well, and as we were cutting to it, Paul Black just drives away with it.
Yeah, he certainly does, and there's been plenty of scrapping, isn't there? It's been a very scrappy final race of the evening, but certainly hasn't taken away from all of the entertainment as there. How far are we into the race? How close are we to the end? I think we've still got a little while yet to go.
5 to go.
5 to go, but I think it's either 50 minutes or 7 laps. I think 7 laps comes a bit sooner. A lot of the races this evening have been finishing around 13 minutes, so maybe we'll be seeing it come sooner rather than later. Look at this though, Alex Westbrook, he's going to try and defend, is he? He's going to squeeze off Christian Wafer on the exit. That was very close, very dangerous between the pair of them. I'm glad they were able to keep it all in one piece for now and carry on this fight.
Yeah, Anthony Mott still in the lead of this race then with well, let's have a look. Alex Martin's actually the driver that's ahead of Alex Westbrook at the moment, and Christian Wafer. But I tell you, the gap is nearly 5 seconds between these cars. So all of a sudden, this race has had a massive gap. And hello, John Westbrook has been caught by Martin Thomas heavily here. And Martin Thomas, he's picked up a lot of pace this evening. It's something that we don't normally shout about him right in the front of the order, but he has been everywhere. And it's been impossible to come away from Martin Thomas and Chris Knox. They're nearly glued together, and we always try and cover the close battles, and the highest close battle comes as priority, and those two have been giving us some of the best action. Richard Abra here though is giving us some similar sort of style, with Mark Hoskin just ahead of him, so it's going to be very interesting to see how these crack on. Richard Abra was in 3rd place for a long time in the first race, ended up not having quite the best run of it towards the end, but he's showing here he's still got good racecraft.
Yeah, absolutely. I was seeing plenty of things happening. I think Michael Tucker has just been involved in an incident further down the order, as well as been passed several times, so I'm not sure exactly what happened there. Unfortunately, the Bronco yet again involved in incidents here.
Yeah, going down, it's just a big lock-up.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just having a few practice laps in the break, and that was exactly how I was finding that corner as well. Just pure lockups, left, right, and centre. And I can fully appreciate how hard this F3 car is to drive. So I may have had a little bit of tongue-in-cheek about it in the past couple of races, but I can absolutely have at how difficult this car is to drive. And as Chris Knox overtakes Martin Thomas here for what feels like the 10th, 17th, 72nd time this evening, it's certainly interesting to even put around a hot lap, let alone get into a race with it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think this is the 7th lap, so we are into the final chance for these drivers to overtake and to get themselves potentially up onto the podium. Chris Knox can see John Westbrook there up in 3rd place. He's going to try and slipstream and maybe not send a move just yet into turn 5. Instead, be a bit more patient and try and focus on getting his best opportunity to overtake, being into Canada corner. He's going to put a lot of pressure on though, isn't he, for this point? Because look at how quickly he closes under the brakes going through turn 5. And a mistake there from John Westbrook. Is he going to get overtaken as well by Martin Thomas? Yes, he is. And all of a sudden, the podium is now a 5th position for John Westbrook.
Yeah, it's just how easy it can change in these cars, really. And I remember on our first broadcast with the F3s, I think it was one of the fast start drivers of Michael Seal came on the chat and he said about how difficult these cars are to drive, and I sort of looked at it and thought, well, they can't be that difficult. But they are, and I can fully get behind the reason why these drivers are maybe struggling a little bit. But I think, to be fair, they're getting better and better, and as we go through the evening, I feel like the standard is getting better and better as well. Anthony Mott, though, he's set the standard at the beginning, and he's setting the standard right at the end as well. He's leading this race, even though you can't see it on a leaderboard. Trust me, he is. He's got a 5.6 second gap between himself and the next driver. As Chris Knox has had a spin, we'll cut back to Anthony Mott because we think he's about to take the checkered flag. We're going to act like he is. It's Anthony Mott to take the second victory, and he gives a little weave. I think that's confirmation that we have indeed finished the third race of the evening, and it is Anthony Mott who takes the race victory.
Yeah, great drive there from Anthony Mott, and Chris Knox, he decides, you sod it, I'm going home, I'm going into the pits. He's heading for an early bath, is Chris Knox. It's unfortunate from what was looking to be a great performance, as we see him in the background in a cloud of smoke in the pit lane. It was unfortunate. I'm not sure if he had contact or if it was just a mistake by himself going into Canada corner. It is so easy to lock up the brakes when you've got cars you're racing with, and even when you're just by yourself. So I wouldn't be too surprised if it was just a self-inflicted error. And oh my word, look at that off the circuit. Alec Westbrook, he's had a massive spin right at the end. He manages to get the car pointing in just about the right direction. Never mind, no he doesn't. As I say that, he has a little bit of a moment.
Yeah, does he know that you're supposed to be doing donuts after the end of a race? Maybe when you've won as well would help. Yeah, he's clearly enjoying himself, trying to get back on the straight and narrow, but I don't know whether he's just doing this for style or not now, but...
I think he's struggling with the grip change from grass onto tarmac and then back onto the grass again.
Yeah, potentially, but he's going to come across... He's actually going to be the final person now, after all of that, to actually cross the line, and it's going to be the end of the race as Alec Westbrook goes back onto the grass to try and get the rear end loose and give it some good style, and he's had enough of that, isn't he? He's flipped it upside down and thought, you know what, that's enough for me.
Yeah, and then back on the wheels again. So even though we tried to put it on his roof, he can't even do that, right? Unfortunately, Alec Westbrook's evening not going the way he planned, but he seemed to have enough fun anyway while flipping around and spinning around at the end.
Yeah, so that's what it's about, isn't it? We are doing social races here. There's no championship involved, so realistically, it's all for pride. And to be honest, if you have a little spin at the end, you might as well have some fun with it as well. We have no results, unfortunately, that we can show you, because for some reason the overlays had just decided to stop working as we went into the final race of the evening, just out of nowhere. The fonts went a bit weird, and then all of a sudden we just lost them all together, so it's a bit of a shame. But I can confirm that Anthony Mott took his second victory of the evening in the third race. First and third race, he took victories. Barry Rabbit was in second place. Martin Thomas rounded out the podium. John Westbrook was in fourth, with Chris Knox ended up in fifth place. Sixth was Max Hunt after a spin. Mike Moss was in seventh. Mark Hoskin in eighth. Ninth was Alexander Martin. 10th was Paul Black. Paul Wafer was in 11th. 12th was Mark White. Christian Wafer in 13th. 14th was Mike Tucker. Havana Gevorgian rounds out 15th. Alec Westbrook was the final driver to cross the line in 16th place. Kevin McGlone was 17th. 18th was Richard Abra. Clive Bailey was 19th, and fortunately, we've had a few drivers not been able to join us for the final race of the evening. Sometimes it can happen. Andy Montgomery, Adam Hayes, Albert Vea, and Peter Jennings all decided that it wasn't for them come the end of the evening. And I think normally we have one or two people coming in for a potential chit-chat with both myself and Ed, and tonight we can welcome in... Tell you what, we'll bring in Irish Kev. Now, where is Kevin McGlone finish in that final race? All the way down in 17th position, so maybe not his third and final race, but he had an interesting one up until then. We'll bring in Kev now, and maybe, do you want to have a chat to him, Ed?
Yeah, we certainly can do. See if Kev will come in. Hello, Kev. It was a very eventful race for you, wasn't it, at the end there, finishing down, unfortunately, in 17th place. But just talk us through your evening in general, because it was very action-packed out there.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I think I got second in the first race, which I'm more than happy with. I got a bit of a tussle coming across the start finish between, I think it was Anthony Mott and Barry Rabbit in the second race. It looks like Anthony moved across. He probably just didn't see him. He's purely a racing incident. So I had to fight back up the track from there on in. And then the last race, I decided to make a hole that turned out not to be there in the end. Completely my fault. I was slipstreaming Paul, running away from Alexander and Clive, and it was either tap Paul up the back end or go down the right hand side of him. So I chose to go down the right hand side of him just as he moved across. Again, not Paul's fault. I probably should have lifted off a little and sat back. I figured I had the pace on him, and I found the catch event. So yeah, it was interesting. Good night.
Yeah, it certainly is. But the thing is, in these cars, and especially at this circuit, the draft does sort of bring you into these fights, doesn't it? It brings you into them because if you start lifting out, then you're under threat from the cars behind. So you kind of almost have to send those sorts of moves. Is that something you found all night long?
Yeah, like the opener of the first race, I think it was. I was definitely getting sucked into the pack, and it was just a matter of you got to let them fly off and pick a hole. The second race, I think certain cast members decided to try and make turn one wider than it actually was, which ended up having me punt off and fight my way back up again. But we're all racing in good spirits rather than it's not a competition. There's no penalties. There's no damage. I think there should be damage on the cars, but the general opinion is not to have damage on them, so there's no damage. So it allows people to breathe a little. So you take it, take the rough at the tumble. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we've got room for one more question, and I think I'll let Jacko take you through that one.
Yeah, Kev, do you have any insight into where we may be off to and what we're doing next week? I know you guys normally do a bit of a vote, don't you, about where you're going to end up on Wednesday? But is there any sort of inclination, maybe a sort of a census that's going one way?
No, this week I've been rather busy, so I haven't had the opportunity to get involved in those conversations. To be honest with you, Jacko, I did hear during the warm-up session in between race 2 and 3. Some suggestions that were mentioned. The mountain was mentioned. I laughed.
Oh.
Yeah, I really can't see that because I think by the time we get to Devil's Corner, everybody's got to be heading towards Bathurst Central. You know what I mean? So I can't see that happening. I think these cars they breathe well on a long, fast track. I know some of the participants of the of the series have done track days and events and races and whatnot because a lot of these guys are actually race drivers. And I think some of them have done events at Zandvoort, so I know there's a demand for Zandvoort. So I wouldn't be surprised if that comes back in an extra. Yeah, I've been around it a couple of times, but I haven't got a flow out of it yet. It just doesn't. I don't know if you've ever done track days, but I find I have to do a few laps to try and figure out how everything flows through things. So. Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential to go racing in the dunes, as they say.
It's interesting, actually. I did an actual race meeting in a Ginetta there once, and I think the second lap, I did a 2-day practice and 3 days of racing, or 2 days of racing. In my second lap of flying over there, shipping the car and everything, I wrote the car off at the exit of turn 2. My first flying
well done.
lap. Yeah, it's really, really, really disappointing, especially for the person who paid the bills.
Well, the great thing about Zandvoort is you're only ever 2.5 hours from leaving the country, right? You know what I mean? So you can be back in the UK in time for dinner time.
You're about 30 seconds away from a nice beach and a cold beer as well, which is what I took advantage of.
It just depends whether the team wants to drown you or not for killing off their Ginetta, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, they weren't too impressed. Neither was I, to be fair. I will grant you.
Like water and somewhere that you can be buried is not something I'd go towards if I'd just written off somebody else's Ginetta.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't my finest moment. It wasn't indeed. But hopefully it'll provide fantastic action in the F3s. It would be very interesting. Not the widest track, so we'll see how people invent overtaking maneuvers as they always do in the Pure GT series. Is there really like to give a shout out to Kev before we let you go?
As always, you know me. I love to say hello to nobody, so they know who we are.
We always like to give you the opportunity, though, Kev. One day you'll surprise us. I won't ask you, and you'll be like, "Oh, I really wanted to say hello to someone." Then. So,
and I can guarantee you that all those that are listening are living in hope every week that I might just say hello to. No.
Oh, I left him hanging. Thank you very much, Kev. We'll good luck in the week coming up, and we'll speak to you next week, I'm sure.
Nice, appreciate it.
And that was Kevin McGlone, and I forgot to introduce you, to be honest, Ed. How rude was that? But he's a lovely guy, as are the entire series, so I knew it was going to be fine.
I think it was fine. It was good to have a bit of a chat with Kev, and we talk about the tracks. I was hoping maybe we could go to other tracks that you might have totaled cars at. Maybe Donington Park, that'd be a good one.
There's a few of them. We've already been to Brands Hatch. Alton Park, I've never done it. The car wrote me off, but I didn't write the car off. So yeah, there are a few of them. Croft, luckily Croft isn't on this service, because that would be really dangerous for me. Yeah, no, we're going to round out the evening, I think, Ed, because no one else is coming to have a chat to us. I think we did have Christian Wafer, but we chatted for Kevin for so long that he ended up probably going to bed. Thank you very much from me, and well, but just before we go, Ed, is there any sort of leaving words? What's your first impression on the Pure GT series then? What are your sort of takeaways, I suppose, from this? You know, try and be as nice as possible.
Well, it was very hectic, wasn't it? I think is the most diplomatic way of putting it. It was hectic, it was frenetic, but it had the thing that me and you love, and that was spice from start to finish. It was a great evening's entertainment. I'll tell you what, if you people will have me, I'll be more than happy to be here in a week's time for the next race.
Well, in my opinion, it's worked an awful lot better, even though the third race of the overlays didn't work any better. But I thoroughly enjoyed having you in the comments box on, as you said, an official Jacko Racing stream, Ed, for once. It was cracking to have you along. So, without further ado, thank you all very much for watching. We'll see you later. Next week, as per usual, 8:15 will be live on a Wednesday. And also, you can now catch the GTE iRacing action powered by Next Gen and sponsored by Grid Engineering on Jacko Racing at 8 p.m. That's absolutely awesome series that we have going on there as well. So by all means, tune in for that, subscribe and like, and do whatever you want to do basically to catch the next meeting. Thank you very much, and we'll see you later. Bye.